Nature is a natural health service. I do everything I can, almost every day of my life, to be out in nature.
Really, it helps me relax. I feel myself, a lot of the stresses and strains sort of melting away, really.
And it's just somewhere where you can clear your head, isn't it? You know, you kind of get out into the open air, into the fresh air, you're looking around beautiful nature, and you just feel so much better.
You've got to smell the surroundings, you've got to feel the wetness of the leaves when it's been raining, you've got to touch the bark. So we've got the medication, but then we've got this natural medication, and that is so important.
We live in an amazing country in Wales. There is so much that is green around us every day of our lives, and therefore the opportunities for us to do outdoor activities are there in abundance. So why don't we use nature more as a way of contributing towards our physical and mental health? We know that there is social and green prescribing going on, but actually putting this at the core of thinking. It requires us not just to tackle ill health, it requires us to look at how we can prevent physical and mental ill health. And what better way to start than nature and health?
Our communities in Wales face a number of challenges. Life these days is really complex, and there are a lot of difficulties that individuals, families and communities need to work through.
In the modern day, people have become less connected with nature and more connected to the indoors and technology.
With growing urbanisation and demographic patterns and the kind of jobs people are doing and the kind of places they're living, people aren't having the day-to-day incidental contact with nature.
Very often people are experiencing mental health problems because of the social, environmental conditions that they find themselves in. And just fixing the individual, will that solve it?
One of the challenges of general practice is that we see a lot of people with conditions that are related to stress and anxiety that I think is springing from the stress of our society that is increasing all the time, particularly isolation, and of course has got a lot worse in the pandemic.
1 in 4 people in the UK will experience mental illness in their life, but actually only 25% of people are thought to actually seek out help. Traditionally, medicine is focused on perhaps cures and clinical interventions, and now we're starting to really accept that there's an important social and mental element to looking after your health.
Within the healthcare sector, we need to find new ways of working. We need to find ways of activating assets within communities. Or care needs to take place closer to where people are living. It needs to be connected to their community and their landscapes, their geographical setting, the nature around them. If we can get sectors thinking together, if we can think about people's environments as much as we can think about their inner lives and their emotional health, then we can potentially meet challenges that we're struggling with at the moment.
Maybe we could move from seeing as our work trying to cure modern lifestyle problems that we can't actually cure, to being partners with organisations that offer environments where people can flourish, so that we can concentrate on more core physical and mental health work while supporting projects that improve the health of our patients in a more holistic way.
At a very instinctive level, we kind of know and get it that being outdoors is good for us. So spending time in green and blue places, there's huge benefit for us at different levels. So it might be at the level of our physical well-being, our mental and emotional well-being, and also our spiritual well-being. We feel that, we know it intuitively.
Just nature in itself, you only have to step outside in a woodlands to feel the benefits. It rewards us in so many ways. We're evolved to be out in natural environments, and our bodies have loads of biological mechanisms that reward us when we spend time outdoor in nature.
There's a shift in the state of consciousness, if you like, that allows for healing and new growth and recovery that is very difficult to achieve when you're working in a built-up environment or within four walls. And there is a huge swelling now of research into how nature-based therapies work, whether they work or not, and the evidence that is coming through is showing really clearly that there are mental and physical well-being benefits.
Medical schools have conducted research in the phenomenon of Shinrin-yoku forest bathing, and we can see very kind of measurable outcomes in terms of improved immune function, so an increase in white cells from people spending time in forests. And we can see reduced stress, improved attention.
We know that it can certainly improve your psychological mood. We know that it can reduce your blood pressure, etc. We know that just being more physically active, of course, can get you fitter. And then, for example, if you are at risk of something like type 2 diabetes, that risk can be reduced.
Physical activity is well known to be really beneficial for mental health in any setting. But if that setting is in the natural world, that benefit is doubled, which just shows how inherently important connection with the natural world is, I think, for the human being. Our surgery has been part of an initiative for a couple of years now, where we have the opportunity to refer people to outdoor health projects. It's early days, but we're getting incredibly positive feedback. Particularly for general well-being, stress and anxiety. So I've witnessed some quite remarkable transformations in people that we were seeing frequently in the surgery, finding it difficult to help, and this seemed to be a real key for their well-being. There's a wealth of evidence out there, and I'm aware that organisations such as the World Health Organization and DEFRA have produced really seminal reports in recent years. And organisations such as the NHS Forest and the Centre for Sustainable Healthcare in Oxford are doing really exciting work.
We know from the research we've done over the last 3 years that around 70% of our participants benefit from their mental well-being through being with our groups, and we know that because we use a measure called the Warwick-Edinburgh Mental Wellbeing Scale, and we know through that there's a huge impact to people on learning new skills, on giving people new hobbies and new ideas, making people feel happier and feel better about being outdoors, and also connecting people to nature for the long term.
One of the strong elements of well-being, right up there, one of the primary factors, contributing factors to well-being, is good, harmonious, supportive relationships. And when we are with each other in nature, I think those supportive relationships are much easier to nurture. And when we sit in a circle around the fire, it's much easier to be at ease with each other.
The other thing we know is about 50% of our participants increase in their physical activity, and we measure that again using the International Physical Activity Questionnaire. And that means that people are doing more activity than they did previously once they've joined our group. We've been lucky enough to have some PhD researchers looking into the long-term impact of our woodland wellbeing groups, and she found that actually even after 6 months there was wellbeing benefits still in evidence, and also connection to nature. So people were using nature more after being in our groups, even if they had never been in nature previously. So we were a gateway to that.
I'm lucky enough to be living in a beautiful green place where there is a lot of outdoors, and so one could ask why set up specific projects to help people access it. And what I'm seeing is that the people that we are referring to these courses are not people that easily access nature for various reasons, or are quite isolated.
So there can be significant barriers around transport, knowledge of where to go, not being able to get into spaces because they're privately owned.
It can't be assumed that people will be able to access nature and to activate the benefits of nature connection on their own and within their own resources, and that they will have the agency to do that. And it's really, really important to have mechanisms like social prescribing and organised nature-based interventions that people can be facilitated to rebuild that lost connection to nature, and that people can be facilitated to do that in a safe and supportive and structured way.
Particularly during the last 10 to 15 years, there's been a real emergence within Wales of organised nature-based groups. Groups like Coed Lleol, Coed, Woodland Skills Centre in North Wales, Down to Earth on the Gower, and of course our own organisation of Reconnecting Nature. And there will be many other organisations in Wales who are rediscovering the power and the well-being benefits of being with each other and deepening our connection with nature.
So we're seeing an emergence of a whole menu of offerings, really, from horticultural therapy to working with animals, to guided walks, to a more formalised ecotherapy practice. So there's a huge diversity of things that are on offer, and I think people are looking for it, people are engaging in it, and more people are wanting to offer it out and to become better at doing that.
So we run different sessions because we appreciate that perhaps not everyone will be interested in the same things. So there'll be some mindfulness exercises and nature connection. There will be perhaps some craft or some nature-based art, and perhaps some wood carving, whittling.
So we do things like woodland gyms and outdoor yoga and Pilates. We do things like navigation, walking groups, which can include things like walking and talking groups, or photography, or nature identification. We do conservation, improve environments that we work in, make them better for local people and the people coming to our sessions.
One of the things that participants value about going to these projects is that they're not seen as an ill person with a condition, but it's an opportunity to do something which helps them flourish. And I think it's a really skillful theoretical framework underlying this work, which is the 5 ways to well-being, which we know supports health and well-being in the human.
Really, it's about a real mix of things. Not one thing is going to suit absolutely everybody, and I think this is really key, that what we have is that sort of tapestry of different activities in nature that GPs and others that can prescribe, for example. It's about understanding what the opportunities are and how it suits that particular individual that might be in front of them in the surgery.
I think the future of this kind of work is that it really needs to be embedded in the primary healthcare systems. It's already starting to happen, and it's really great to see that people are starting to view their health as more than just their physical well-being. They're starting to include the mental and the social and the environmental connections as being important for someone's well-being.
The potential of this field for the future, I think, is incredibly exciting. It offers the possibility of not only an intervention, but, if you like, a preventative approach to improve our health and well-being in a low-cost way, to reduce the kind of modern-day ills that we see now.
I think for a time being there is absolutely going to be a place for groups and individuals to offer a facilitated experience through a safe environment in a professional way that allows that subjective experience of healing and recovery to happen. What I would like to see further on down the line is that we don't need that anymore. Ultimately,
what we really want is that people see that walking, getting involved in their green spaces, on their doorsteps, is really, really beneficial to their health. And it's not a question of actually prescribing it to people. It's something that they do as part of their everyday lifestyles. So they get the benefits physiologically, psychologically, etc. and really improves their mental and physical well-being. So I wouldn't want people to go away with the idea that what we are trying to do is to shove everybody into a GP surgery to say, let's get prescribed some activities in nature. We want it to be part of their everyday lifestyle, embedded in their lifestyle.
And what we're really looking at is how to increase access, how to make this whole idea of deepening our relationship with nature, spending more time in nature in a productive, pro-environmental way is something that we can all do without being given the permission to, that we have some sense of personal choice as well about how we access that and how we deepen our own personal relationship with nature.
This could be the intervention that helps us to see the healthcare that we're going to need to see us through the coming century, to realise goals of the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act and to realise this more holistic lifespan preventative model.
What has not yet happened with nature in the context of government policy is joining up the value of nature with every other part of our lives. And that's really the advantage of something like the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act. It is the permission in Wales for government and all its agencies, including health services, to think differently.
What we could be seeing is a shift in our society, a recognition that access to green space is really important as a core for our health and well-being. And if that shift was encouraged and occurred, I think we would see quite remarkable benefits.
If we want as humans to live in safe and well-connected communities, if we want to be healthier, if we want to deal with the causes of physical and mental ill health, then actually nature is one of the best solutions around. So let's think about how best we can improve the nation's physical and mental health by using nature in the most positive way possible.